This weekend hit a major milestone for Drift and Ruby, and that's where I have released at least one episode every single week for the past 10 years, without missing a single week. It's been a huge commitment, and over this time, I've seen a huge shift in how we develop, especially around the JavaScript and client side, where things looked completely different. We had jQuery on every page, and Rails UGS handled our forms, and the server returned JavaScript. And one thing that you may have noticed about the episodes I publish is that very few of them actually covered React or GraphQL. Those were done more out of demand, but I was never convinced that they were the in-game solution for a Ruby on Rails application. And the more I dove into those frameworks, the more I realized that they just really didn't have the right fit for a lot of Rails applications. So I strayed away from that popular approach. And then Hotwire happened, and I was all in because its approach was simplistic and unobtrusive to our Rails applications. It solved a lot of the pain points of the old jQuery days, and it didn't add in the complexities that React or other front-end frameworks did. And so a lot of my focus when dealing with JavaScript or client-side interactions has been with the Hotwire approach. And looking back, I think it was the right one. And in this episode, we are going to have a look at Hotwire, and it may be a bit repetitive of some of the things that we've seen in the past, but hopefully it will also have some value. Because even after many years later, it still seems to be the best approach for rich client-side interactions on Rails applications. So the first thing that we're looking at is we can press the / to then focus on a input box. We can then start typing, and instantly, without submitting a form or anything, our list is then filtered. And it didn't do a full page refresh or anything like that to update the results, but instead, on the same page, the DOM was updated and our results were inserted in. And all of it was done without bringing in external libraries or adding complexities that would then be difficult to maintain down the road. And so before we get started, I just want to say thank you to all of the followers and subscribers who have stuck with me over the years and the value and learning that has come from it. And so to start off, we're simply going to have a search and then a list of our episodes. We can type in something, but as we type it in, it doesn't change our results, and we have to hit enter or submit in order to filter out the results. If this were some kind of dashboard and we had some other interactions going on, then the full page would have refreshed and we would have lost those other changes. And so that's where something like UJS would have come in with some jQuery, where we could have just targeted and replaced just one portion of the screen. And that worked, but it was also tightly coupled, and it also caused a lot of bleed into other pages. So many years ago, when using that approach, I would often have issues where JavaScript that was intended on one page was getting executed on another page. So of course, we would then try to do page-specific JavaScript, but that also had its own issues, as well as adding a lot of complexity. So then we would try to create a specific and unique ID tag for everything and try to target it like that and hope that we didn't have any kind of overlap. But then you had the client-side frameworks like React, where you could have pulled in the framework and just used it in specific areas that you needed to. However, the overhead and complexity of what that brought in was often so much more than what was actually needed. And so with Hotwire, which is Turbo and Stimulus, the game really changed, where we didn't have to rely on tightly coupled integrations, and we didn't have to bring in full-fledged client frameworks to handle some simple problems. And so to get started, let's first have a look at our form on the view, where we just have a simple search that goes to the index action of our episodes controller. We then list out all of the episodes that match the query. The episodes controller is very simple, where we have our query from the client input, and then we pass it into a class method on the episode model. The episode model is also very simple, where this query is simply just going to return the recent results, which is in order, only published on descending, And then it's going to do a search on the title or description, the guest or the tag, scoping in the recent episodes. So this isn't a very sophisticated search, and it's not meant to be, but it is the client interactions that we really care about here. And so the first thing that I want to look at is when we're on this page, instead of having to come down with the mouse and click on the search box, I want to just hit the forward slash to then target this. And we could bring in some external libraries for this, but that's not really needed. So instead, we could just create a simple stimulus controller that would be contained to these specific areas of the application that we are wanting. So I could do a bin rails generate stimulus, and we'll just call this controller the hotkey. And we do need a target, so we'll have a static targets, and we'll just need a field, and that would be our input box. We can then have some default values, and we'll just call this one the key, which we'll make a type of string, and then we'll have a default value, and we'll just make it the forward slash. So in our connect function, we can call this side on key down, and we'll set it to this side on key down, and we'll bind this. Because basically what happens, we need to have an event listener. So in our document, we can add an event listener, and it will be on the key down event. And we want to trigger a custom function called on key down. So we've already set this, and we wanted to invoke the function on key down, and we'll take in the event. And like for any stimulus controller, where we are adding an event listener in our constructor or the connect function, we could also have a disconnect, which would act as our destructor, and then we can remove this event listener. So we'll have the document remove event listener on that key down, and we'll also pass in this dot on key down. For the on key down function, we can check if the event.key is not equal to this key value, then we can simply just return. We can set a constant for our tag, and this is just going to be for the document.activeElement, and we want to get the tag name. So we can then check if the tag is an input, or we could also build this in where we can check if the tag is a text area, then we can return. And that's simply because if we are currently typing in an input or text area and we hit that forward slash key, then we want that key to actually be registered and typed out instead of triggering the next part of the function. And so we can prevent the default, and then we can grab our field target, we can focus on it, and then we can also select. And so this is a very simple stimulus controller, and we can now go into our view and add this in. In our div that surrounds the form and our index list, we can add a data controller, and we'll just put in hotkey. We only need one target, and that is going to be on our search field. So we can add a data, and we want to call this the hotkey underscore target, and it will be for the field. And so just doing that, we've added our stimulus controller and our target. We can update the placeholder to say press forward slash to focus, and we should be good. So coming back, we'll refresh the page, and without an input focus, we can then press the forward slash key, and we can then start typing, and it works. And so the next part of this is we want to replace the results without causing a full page refresh. And this should be pretty simple to solve. Where we're rendering our list of episodes, we can create a turbo frame tag, and let's just call it the episodes list, and we'll create a block. Now in our episodes controller, we could try to target that turbo frame tag, but the reality is this turbo frame tag is only capturing the list of episodes. Our form is outside of that turbo frame tag. So if we were to still submit, then the entire page would be refreshed. So what we can do instead is on the form, we can create a data, and we can call the turbo underscore frame, which will create the data turbo frame, and then we can call the episodes list. And so just by doing that, when we submit this form, instead of doing a full page refresh, it will try to replace the DOM of the episodes list. So if we come back and refresh, we can hit forward slash to target our search input. We can then type something in there, hit enter, and then it loads in updates just that area. And if we were to look at the network in the dev console, you'll see that this is going to be very different than a normal HTML request, where we still got a bit of the head, but it's not the full head. And it did render the index view, but only the things within the turbo frame would actually get replaced. And in our URL, you'll see that it didn't leave the page, so it didn't add the / episodes with the parameter q. And so that gives a much better feel to this page, especially if there was a lot of other information on it. Even if not, it would still just feel faster because we're not having to send as much back from the server, and the server isn't having to do additional calculations. But this experience can still be improved because right now the clear button doesn't do anything. We could make that a link to back to the episodes list, but that's not exactly what we're wanting to do here either. So we can generate another stimulus controller, and I'm just going to call this one the filter. Because this filter is going to do a few different things, we are still going to have some targets, and these targets are going to be for the form. We'll then also have the input, and then we'll have the clear. When the stimulus controller first connects, we basically don't need it to do anything yet, but we do want a submit function, and this submit function is just going to get our form target, and then we will request the submit. So we can add in the stimulus controller in the view, where we'll just have the filter, we'll add it to that data controller, and on the input in the data attributes, we can have an action where on input, so that would be the event, we can call the filter and then submit. And the thing that we're going to submit is the form target. So in this form, we can add a filter underscore target for that form. And so let's just save this for now. It does still have some issues, but let's see what happens. We can refresh our page, and then we can start typing one letter, and another letter, and that works. As we delete, it then instantly updates. But the problem is, if someone is typing in really fast, it's going to do one request for each keystroke, and that's not very efficient. So we need to add a debounce, because if someone is typing something, if there is a pause, then we can do the refresh. So we can still make it feel instantaneous without putting that load on the server. So we can create a static values, and we'll make this for our debounce. We'll give it a type of a number with a default value of 200. So this way, within 200 milliseconds, if someone has typed another key, then it won't make the request to the server. So in the submit function, we can set this dot timeout is equal to the set timeout, and within this function, we then call the request submit, and this timeout is going to be based on the debounce value, which is by default 200 milliseconds. But there is a few issues here, because when the submit happens, we need to clear the timeout. So we can call the clear timeout for this dot timeout. But if the timeout hasn't been set yet, then we don't want to throw an error. So we can set the timeout is equal to null in the connect function. If we were to disconnect from the stimulus controller, so that's going to a different page or something else, then we could also call the clear timeout for this dot timeout. And so now when we type in something, if we look at the logs, when we first came to the page, there was no query. We then started typing in turbo, and we got the TUR, and we got some results filtered, and then we got the rest of it with the BO. And so while it's not perfect, we did make only 2 queries instead of 5, which will save a lot of load off of the server. But now, if we hit the little X to clear our search, that does take it back, but we can also implement a clear button, which is just disabled by default to clear out the results. And that shouldn't be too difficult. We can create a function to do this. Let's just call it the refresh clear state, and we'll do it at the beginning when the stimulus controller connects. With this, we can check if there is no clear target, so we can check that with the has clear target, then we can simply return. Otherwise, we can set the clear target disabled is equal to, and then we can check the input target, the value, trim it to get rid of any kind of white space, and see if it is empty. We can call this function when we connect, but then also whenever we submit the form. So we do have to update the view where we have our input. We now also need to add the filter target for the input, and for the button, we also need to add the data filter target, and we'll make this clear. But when we click the button, we also want something to happen. So with the data action on the filter stimulus controller, we can create a clear function. Notice I didn't add the event click on here because that is assumed by default for the button. So within the stimulus controller, we can have a clear function, and this is where we'll just take our input target dot value and set it equal to nothing. We'll take our input target and set the focus, and then we can basically submit the form again, and then refresh the clear state. So if I were to refresh, we'll type something in, we got that. We can now click the clear, and it resets the form. And so the nice thing about all of this, whether it's the hotkeys controller or the filter controller, is that it's very simple. It's not tightly coupled to our controllers, and it's consumed in the view. When properly defining the stimulus controllers and using them to not interact outside of themselves, I've always had a lot of success with them, especially not bleeding over into other pages. One of the most frustrating things in the Turbo Links and Rails UJS days, when I would click something and expect it to happen once, it would get triggered twice. And in those days, it was very difficult to troubleshoot those situations because you don't know if it was a bleed from a different page. If you refreshed the page and you couldn't recreate it, then that was often most likely the case. But it was still one of those things where it was very difficult to navigate and often caused a lot of problems. But in the modern era of Hotwire, a lot of those older issues just don't exist anymore, especially as we are taking a much more simplistic and isolated approach. And so again, I just want to thank everyone who has supported me over the past 10 years. And I really want to thank everyone who has subscribed to keep this service alive, as I definitely could not have done it without your support. Well, that's all for this episode. Thanks for watching. For more videos, check out driftandruby.com.